Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Welcome to another pickups video. Today I've got a not as well organized as it probably should be pile of stuff, a collection of stuff that I have picked up over the last couple of months, including before, during, and after my wife and I had our vacation in Toronto. So I have a few things that I picked up there. I've got a few things that I've had before that or that I got before that, and a couple of things that I picked up after we got back. So it was a really good trip. It was a really good time. It was incredibly busy. Looking at the step counter on my Fitbit, we did probably, like, if 10,000 steps is the daily goal, we probably did about 2.5 weeks worth of walking in the 6 days that we were there. So it was a lot, but it was a good time. I did get to see the Titanic artifact exhibit, which is going to be a separate video. It was a really, really incredible experience, and it deserves sort of its own separate video to talk about. And I know that's not like RPG related, but this channel is just called Draven Swiftbow. So it's where I talk about the things that I'm interested in. And as much as I love RPGs and stuff like that, the sinking of the Titanic was my first ever obsession. So it was really an incredible and moving experience, and not fully digested everything yet, even though we've been back for, about a week now. Yeah, I'll be doing a video for that very, very shortly. So, like I said, I've got some things that I got before that arrived while I was away. Stuff that I picked up while I was in Toronto, and stuff that I got after getting home. So I'll try to make it clear where I ended up getting all of these things here. So before we get into the tabletop RPGs and stuff, there are some things for my other interests that I picked up. So the first one was something that I pre-ordered a long time ago, and I was starting to get really worried that I was never going to get any updates on it, but the actual product finally arrived. And that is the Aliens Expanded Collector's Edition. So the Alien franchise is one of my all-time favorites. The Alien and Aliens and Alien 3 were the first R-rated movies I ever saw. Alien 3 was the first R-rated movie that I was ever allowed to rent, although I wasn't actually allowed to rent it. But my mother and my grandfather rented it for me. So the Alien series has always had a really, has always been really important to me. And this is a documentary about the experience working on the film and behind the scenes stuff. And I'll take any Alien stuff that I can get. So there's 2 discs in here. There's the actual documentary itself on one disc, and then it's got a second disc here, which is special features, which includes extended interviews. It has the mission debrief, I guess. So brand new in-depth interview with writer-director Ian Nathan, executive producer Robin Block, in which they answer questions set by individual backers. So this is about the documentary. And then there is a new 100-minute version of the Aliens movie. So that'll be kind of cool to take a look at here. And this being a collector's edition, there's only a certain number of them. And mine ended up being number 1,000 of 2,600. And, I know when things are serialized, people love the lower numbers. But getting the even number 1,000 I think is actually pretty cool. So I'm happy to have that. All right, when I got to Toronto, I had time to kill because it was a 6 a.m. flight and the hotel check-in time was for 4 p.m. I was able to get into the room at 1 p.m., but I still knew I was going to have time to go around to a bunch of different stores and do stuff like that. So I went to a place called A&C Games. The letter A and then the letter C, so A&C. And they're a retro video game store. So while I was there, to add to my Super Nintendo collection, I wanted to have the games that I used to either play a lot as a kid or that I used to rent a lot as a kid. And one of the games I used to rent a lot as a kid was Yoshi's Cookie. It's just a basic puzzle game. You line up and match the different cookies. But I used to rent this thing all the time. And it's not on the Switch Online yet. So I waited and waited and waited. And it's you know what, the heck with it. This was there, and I'd love to have the physical copy of it, so I added that. I also added Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. So I know this game has a lot of mixed feelings and mixed reviews on it, But I love the Final Fantasy, like the early Final Fantasy games. I have Final Fantasies 1 through 7, as well as 9, 10, 10, 2, and 12. So I was like, you know what? I'm curious about actually playing this game, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. This was in my Super Nintendo until I sat down and do this video. All right, so some of the things that I ordered that arrived while I was away. We got two of the three packages here, and the other one's kind of interspersed throughout, but we'll get to that. But the first one here is a collection set. So this is the Icons of the Realms, Legend of Drizzt Family and Foes. And so this is a collection of miniatures that has Drizzt and Gwen, as well as like the sort of the characters from like the early novels, the early Drizzt novels. So we have Gromf. So he is like at one point he was the head of the Arcane Brotherhood in Luskan. I don't know if he still is canonically or not. There's Zignafian, and again I'm hoping to avoid as much. There we go. So Zignafian is Drizzt's father, who was killed and came back as like an undead who pursued Drizzt throughout the Underdark. There's Triel Benair, or Triel Duerden, who I think she was actually Benair first. And at some point in the novels, the Benair family resurrected the Duerden house, and it became one of like the 8 leading houses on the Council of Spiders, or whatever it's called, in Menzoberranzan. So Triel was like put at the head of that, or she's like become like the head of the Duerden family. But yeah, she's not actually. Yeah, it does say Benair. So she's not actually like a member of Drizzt's family, but she's the head of the Duerden house now. Then we got Jarlaxle, looking dapper with his hat and his giant plume feather there. And then we have Matron Malice Duerden. And I know it's kind of off to the side, but I'm trying to make sure that I can see what's going on there. So I do have the pack that has Drizzt and the Companions of the Hall, as well as Artemis. So I have the one that has Drizzt, Gwen, and then it has like Bruenor, Wulfgar, Catti-brie, Regis, and Artemis. So this completes that set now. And that actually came with some promo minis of some GIF. So like the Hippo people from the Spelljammer setting. So we've got those. I also ordered and received the Pathfinder Dice Conquest game. So it's got like a really cool sort of set of dice there, and it's a combination of like card and dice game. So you pick a hero, and you use dice to kill creatures. So I'm kind of intrigued how the game plays, but I do like the set of dice. It is Pathfinder related, so I wanted to have that in my collection. And they also sent with it some promos. Like I think there's like 2 cards in here, but this is just going to stay sealed. I'm not actually going to open this up. Like these promo cards are going to stay sealed up and are just going to be part of my collection. All right. So also while I was in Toronto, I went to a store called Harry Tarantula. And they were one of the game stores that I always liked, from the few times that I've been in that city. And I tried to buy at least something from each store that I had gone to. So while I was at Harry Tarantula, I ended up picking up this League of Malevolence collector set. So this is from Gale Force 9. I do have the WizKids set as well from the oh my god, why can't I think of the name of it? Hold on. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. There we go. So from that adventure, you had like the League of Malevolence, and you also had Valor's Call, I think it was, like the Strongheart and the other like heroic characters from the old LJN toy line. But this has Warduke, and it's like, okay, I'm fully on board for that now, because I loves me some Warduke. He's one of my all-time favorite villains. So any way that I can get, like I have the original D&D Minis version of him. I've got the WizKids Wild Beyond the Witchlight one. I've got this one for the League of Malevolence. And I've got the Funko Pop of Warduke as well. So added that to the collection. And then, while I was again in Toronto, stopped at the Eaton Center, the chapter store there. I think it's called Indigo. But I was there looking, seeing kind of what they have, and I picked up two things from them. So the first one I'm going to show here is a copy of the 2024 D&D Player's Handbook. And, you may be asking why I have this, because I already have multiple copies of this book. And the reason that I bought this one is because it doesn't have the gold lettering for the number 50 for the 50th anniversary. And that is kind of an important thing because, again, I want the variations of the book. But this one here has actually got like a textured portion here on the bottom. But if I show you the actual copy of the Player's Handbook that I've been using, like when I was running my Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign, using the new D&D rules, because I don't like to lay my books just flat on the table. I like to have a hold of them. So like like to hold them up like this so that I can actually, just make sure that the spine doesn't like crack. And like, I know early on a lot of people had issues with the original 5e books, the Player's Handbook in particular, with pages falling out. And all of my books are from like the first print run, and I never had that problem because I don't open up my book and lay it flat. I always hold on to it. But the where I like to grab the book by and hold the book by has the number 50 there, and as you can see, the gold leaf or whatever they used on there is rubbing off. So this is going to go to a friend of mine. I'm just going to give it to him for free, so you better not complain about there being a little bit of wear on it because he's not paying anything for it. And then this will be the book that I'll be able to use when I run my future D&D games. So that's why I have that there. And yeah, okay, so we are getting to another obsession of mine, which is starter sets. So I have 3 starter sets here, and I have another one on the way, and I have another one that's still sealed that I haven't opened up yet or done an unboxing for. So my plan is to have, when I get the other starter set that I'm waiting for, once that arrives, I'm going to do a week-long starter set themed series of videos. So the first 5 of them will be unboxings, and then I'll have a starter set Saturday review of the Alien starter set for first edition Alien RPG. And I'll probably top it off with another starter set related video that I'll talk about in a moment. But I've been finding and adding starter sets to sort of help satiate this addiction. And one of the ones that I've seen a couple of times and I finally decided to pull the trigger on, I got this from Rainbow's End before going on our trip. And this is the Transformers role-playing game beginner box. So I was a huge Transformers fan when I was a kid, and a few years back, a bunch of like nostalgic kids properties were picked up for designed as role-playing games. And I think they were all done by the same company, Renegade Game Studios. And so there was the Transformers game, there was the G.I. Joe role-playing game, which I wasn't as big in the G.I. Joe as a kid, but there was also like a Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers RPG as well. So if there's a starter set for that, I might also be tempted to pick that one up because I was pretty big into Power Rangers for like a year or two. They kind of came out right around, like I was just at the age where I was not quite too old for that stuff. When it came out, so I enjoyed the first couple of seasons of the show and the movie, and I think that's it. I don't know if I went back after the movie, but anyway, we got the Transformers RPG here. I did try to do an unboxing of this already, but I wasn't really happy with the way the recording turned out, so that's why this one does not have shrink wrap on it, and I will be re-recording that video when I do that starter set, like week-long unboxing / review week when it comes. All right, the next one to add to the growing list of starter sets in my collection is the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, Escape from Planet Hulk starter set. So I got this from Lancelot Games in like the Mahone Bay, South Shore area of Nova Scotia. And yeah, again, like I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but I will admit like this box has caught my attention. I have seen the rule book as well as some expansion books at Rainbow's End, so you do get to play as Black Panther, Captain America, Storm, Black Widow. I guess is this the updated Wolverine from like the after Old Man Logan, I think, and then Miles Morales there. So really cool to have like those options available, and again, we'll see how it sort of shapes up. But I just thought, it'd be kind of cool to add this to the collection as well, because again, I like starter sets. It's one of my favorite things to collect for like RPGs. So, there's probably going to be a few more like oddball starter sets that I end up adding to my collection. Speaking of starter sets, here's one that I didn't think actually existed in the current form that it is, but this is the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Beginner Box, but for the 2nd Edition Remaster. So, it's got that little 2nd Edition Remaster there. When the remastered version of Pathfinder 2nd Edition was first announced, I remember going on like the Paizo page and like where they announced like the player core, and there were people asking about the beginner box, if it was going to be redone or re-released, and they didn't really have an answer for it at that point in time, if they were going to or not. And I didn't see anything like from them about doing a re-release for the remaster. Normally, like they'll advertise it on like their social media pages or something along those lines. And if they did, I completely missed it. So I got this from Rainbow's End, and I've been going there for quite a while and seeing this on the shelf, but I never bothered because, well, I already have my open copy and my sealed copy. I really don't need, another one. But this year, a friend of mine was down with his wife, and we did a D&D game with them and her. It was her first time, I think, ever playing, and it was his first time playing in like 15 years or so, or close to that mark. So at the end, they both expressed an interest in getting back into RPGs, and I did buy him a 5e Essentials kit and a player's handbook as well. In case it might be easier for him to find groups with the current stuff. So I bought that for him to have. But I was considering, when I saw this here recently, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll send him this as well to have like a starter set for Pathfinder, because I will likely do, like, the next time he's down, the one shot's either going to be D&D 5e or it's going to be Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So I was considering sending this to him along with a copy of like the Player Core Pocket Edition, the Player Core 2 Pocket Edition, because I have an extra one of those. But when I pulled this off the shelf, I saw the remaster. So I was like, that is interesting. I don't think there's going to be a huge difference. Like, the scenario is going to be the same. The map's going to be the same. Like, the tokens and stuff are going to be the same. But it will be interesting to see how, like, the monster stats may have been altered, or the character class stuff may have been altered. So I will do a comparison video as part of that starter set week. So the first 5 days, Monday through Friday, will be unboxings. Saturday will be my starter set Saturday video for Alien. And then Sunday will be the comparison between the remaster beginner box and the original. So that's kind of where we're at this point in time. But yeah, I was not aware that they re-released this, so it's kind of cool to see. All right, up next, we're going to continue with some Pathfinder stuff. We've got something that I was aware of, and that was the re-release of the Treasure Vault book for the 2nd Edition remaster for that as well. So I picked up the Pocket Edition for this. I do have the Pocket Edition for the original 2e version, which I'm probably going to give away to a friend of mine in the gaming group. I gave away the copy of Gears and Guns, or Guns and Gears. I forget how that book is titled. I'll never get that one completely straight on my mind. But when I bought the remastered reprint, a re-release of it, I gave him the original. So I'll probably do the same thing with the Treasure Vault book. So we've got that. I did order the free RPG Day module that came out for this year. I don't have a store in my area that really does free RPG Day. That's a store that I want to give business to. There is one nearby, but I find the owner to be kind of sleazy in the way that he prices things. Like, he'll get something new, but he won't price it based off of what he paid for it, like a business does. Instead, he will spend time looking around on different online sites to find essentially the most expensive listing for it as he can. And then he will say that if he sells something, he's got to restock it. So he's going to charge what it would cost to restock the item. And he always highballs that sort of stuff. So, I'm not going to give that kind of store business. I find that to be a very shady and deceptive way of running things. Like if you're a business, when you get inventory in, you pay X amount for the inventory, and then your cost is either the MSRP, which they're not printing on stuff much these days, or it's like the cost plus a percentile. And like so I went in there one time to get him to buy something that was brand new. It was about $40 brand new everywhere else, but I wanted to give him a chance. And it took him over 10 minutes to look online, and he told me that he would have to sell it for $60. So I just said, thank you, I'll be back, I'll just have to think about that for a moment. And I left. I walked over to the EB Games, and I bought the same thing for the retail price, the proper retail price. So yeah, so for Free RPG Day, I do love to get the Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I also have the Starfinder 2nd Edition one, which we'll see here in a moment. And I would rather spend $5 on each of these to have them sent to me than go to a store where I find that the owner takes advantage of his customers. So anyway, that's that. I'm not going to name names or anything, but yeah, that's just how I feel about some of the businesses in my local area. So there you go. I also picked up the Fist of the Ruby Phoenix compilation book. So I got this from Indigo store in the Eaton Center in Toronto. I was in Toronto last year for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and I remember seeing this book there, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll pick it up, but I knew I was getting a lot of stuff, so I was like, well, probably won't have room for it, so I didn't think about it. When I went back this year for Money in the Bank, for Elimination Chamber, at the end of February, early March, the book was still there. It's like, huh. I still didn't pick it up, though. And this time, about a week or so before I left, it's like, you know what? If that book is still there, I'm going to buy it. So I went to the store. They opened at 10. I had time to kill before I was able to check into the hotel. The other game stores didn't open until noon, so I didn't have the opportunity to check them out. Or at least the ones nearby didn't open until noon. So I went to the Indigo. This was still there. Snatched it up. And then a couple hours later, I went to 401 Games, and they had like 6 copies of it on their shelf, which I would have rather have gotten it from them, but I wasn't going to go and return it to one store to buy it again at somewhere else. But yeah, so there we go. I finally have this in my collection now. So I think that's all of the 2nd edition Adventure Path compilations that they've done so far. And I know that they did the Kingmaker stuff, but that is insanely expensive. It's like $200 Canadian to get just the adventure book, so that's not going to be happening. All right, and then finally we got some Starfinder stuff. So the first one here is the pocket edition of the Starfinder Galaxy Guide. So I love Starfinder. I'm currently running a Starfinder game, and I love pocket editions because they take up way less space on my table. And I'll be able to have this with me now when I'm running my Starfinder games. So that's really cool to have. And I think I already did like a sort of a preview of the book a while ago when I got the hardcover. So it's the exact same thing, just sort of shrunk down, scaled down. And then we got the Free RPG Day adventure. So this is Free RPG Day for 2025. And this is the Starfinder Battle for Nova Rush. So again, I love Free RPG Day for the Paizo stuff. I have all of the Starfinder and Pathfinder 2e Free RPG Days from when I started collecting Pathfinder 2nd Edition, from Pathfinder 2nd Edition started, and as well as when I started really getting into Starfinder. I've got a bunch of their Free RPG Day stuff as well. So yeah, really happy to have that in the collection. And then the final thing in this video is going to be a copy of the Starfinder GM Core book. So I do have a copy of this on the way from Paizo, but I don't know when that's going to get here. Shipping from where they get to my front door is typically like 3 weeks. It can sometimes be a little bit longer, sometimes it can be shorter. I just don't know when it's going to show up, and I do have a Starfinder game this Saturday, and I'm recording this on Thursday. So I picked this up yesterday, which was a Wednesday night, and just a couple of days away from my Starfinder game. So I just want to have a copy of this at the table. that I can use for like treasure and stuff like that for my group, because I've been having to wing it because there's not really any great guidelines for the Starfinder treasure, but there will be now that this book is out. So really happy to have this. And when the Paizo one does arrive, that's when I'll do my review video and I'll give them full credit for sending the book to me. So there we go. Those are the recent additions to my collections. Let me know in the comments below. What kind of things have you been adding to your various collections, be it retro gaming, be it tabletop RPGs, it could be, you know, like movie, DVD collecting, it could be VHS collecting, anything that you are interested in. Let me know what kind of cool stuff you've been able to add to those collections in the last little while. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. It always means the world to me. And until next time, take care.